give us what we need. Hey!
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
You ready?
Come on!
It's the queen of royal badness.
It's time for the Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Highlighting people and things you should know about.
Robin's got you covered. Follow Robin at Robin Ayers. You're listening to the Raw Report on KBLA Talk 1580.
Robin's got a lot to talk about.
I love my life, I love my wife, but bad times prevail and overwhelm me. I'm living in hell, but living well.
You are inside the Raw Report on KBLA Talk 1580, where we bring you the latest in entertainment news, trending topics, and interviews. Hello, welcome to the Raw Report. I am your host, Robin Ayers. I'm so glad to be back in this seat. I know it's been a few days. It's been a couple of days. I said I was going to be back yesterday, you guys. I truly, deeply apologize. But let me explain. First of all, I would like to say, Andy, don't miss. All right? Andy, you don't miss. You are so great at what you do. I appreciate it. He's playing this song right here because this is the topic of our conversation. We'll get into that in just a bit. But let me explain, all right? I was supposed to be back tomorrow. I know what I said. But here's the thing, you guys. Y'all know I dropped my 2 baby girls, young ladies, off to college in New York. It is done. Oh, my goodness. It is done. We got them across the line, you guys. They are in college. They are having a great time. If you must know, they are living it up. They are just doing so many great things, having a very nice time. They sound good. Spirits are great. Meeting friends. They're getting really acclimated to the campus. I mean, they are just having themselves a great time. And so I am so happy to have dropped them off, and I'm so happy to be back here. And but on the way back here, the weather on the East Coast is a little wild these days. I don't know what's going on over there, but there were several storms, and we had flight delays, many flight delays, and then finally we had a cancellation. And then we couldn't leave that airport again, so we had to go to a different airport. It was a lot. So we finally made it home yesterday, and so I unfortunately had to miss the show yesterday. But no, listen, we're not complaining. There are no complaints because I am back in this chair with you guys right now. And we will be live for the next few days. So listen, I'm so excited to get into this conversation today. Before I do that, though, I do want to remind you, you have the option, remember, to follow us on all of our social media platforms. I think it's a great idea because so much is going on. If you haven't heard by now, so many of our colleagues here at KBLA 1580 are down up in Chicago at the DNC reporting live. There are all kinds of interviews. They're chatting with all these politicians. They're doing it big over there. So if you want to keep up with all of that and see what's going on and listen to a lot of the information that they have, you want to follow us on KBLA 1580 on all of our social media platforms. It's just a good idea. And while you're there, follow me at Robin Ayers too, because I think that's also a great idea. So make sure you do that. If you want to be involved in our conversation at any point today, you can call us at 1-800-920-1580. I'm always down to take your phone calls and to hear your opinions on all the matters, all the things, okay? So we got that out the way. Let me start off by saying that the late, great, pioneer talk show host Phil Donahue has passed away at the age of 88. And so many of us so many of us learned watching Phil Donahue. We watched, we were entertained, we were informed. And so he did such a great job for many years. And he had a long lasting life. 88 is a long time. But he definitely leaves behind a legacy and so much work, again, that we all, people like myself, who are in this position as a talk show host, as a radio talk show host, and anybody else for that matter who's involved in television and all that, we have him a lot of what we do. We have him a lot to thank for that. Just to see how it was done, how to do it, and how to do it well. So we're sending our condolences to the family, to the friends of the late, great Phil Donahue. Are you watching the DNC? Did you watch last night, Andy? Were you on it? I know it's a lot has been going on, and even if you haven't watched it fully, just full-fledged on television, I'm sure you can catch a lot of the clips and things like that. I heard it's going down, y'all. Tonight, it's really going down, though. We got the Obamas who are speaking. We have Patti LaBelle performing the In Memoriam tribute. And that's happening. This is night 2 of the DNC. So she's over there. Patty kick off her shoes. It's going down. Patty's still doing her thing. That's amazing. But also Kerry Washington, she's set to be a host at the DNC. It's a lot of great things happening over there. So catch it if you can. And if I need to know something, fill me in. Let me know. Write me a message. Send me a DM or something. Anyway, J-Lo. Jennifer Lopez, y'all. She has officially filed for divorce. That is unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. If y'all didn't know, she was with her current husband, Ben Affleck. She was with him like 20 years ago. They had a great, it seemed to be a great relationship. They were considered a power couple. They were both at the height of their careers. And they had broken up. She had gotten with Diddy and some other people. She had children and moved on with her life. Well, here we are 20 years later, and they reconciled this relationship of theirs. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, if J-Lo and Ben Affleck can make it happen the way that they did 20 years later. And she says, that really is my true love. She wrote a whole album about him. She really went in. She did a visual movie about him, and it was inspired by him, I'll say. And people were picking up on signs here and there. You would see them out and about together, and just the energy didn't look right. I'm telling you, man, you got to be careful with your relationship in public. People will be watching you, and they will be depicting everything about you. That's what Oprah said. Oprah said her and Stedman don't even go out in public anymore because the media is there or people are there, and they always want to try to pick apart your relationship. That's a scary thing, man.
Why you think some people want to keep things private?
Exactly. And I'm not even mad at that. I've learned too. Like I don't put I used to be an entire family-oriented person, just, completely open doors of my family. Not completely, but to a large extent, we used to put ourselves out there. And now I'm like, y'all don't need to know I'm married. Like, they know that I'm married. People know that I'm married. I love showing my family. But I don't put their business out there like that, just because it's none of y'all business, number one. And if you're interested in me, you're interested in me, what I do, and what I'm showing you. But, the family thing, I think that's touch and go. It's touch and go. You got to be careful, because that's what they did to J-Lo and Ben Affleck. And here we are, just 2 years after they had gotten married. 2 years. She filed for divorce. It's sad in a way. It's actually pretty sad. So I'm sorry to hear that, but we had to, let you guys know. Steve Harvey is clearing up the claims. Dr. Umar tried to come for Steve Harvey and Ricky Smiley. He said that they got paid by Kamala Harris and her, Madam Kamala Harris. They tried to say that, you know, they were paid to endorse her. And Steve Harvey said, listen, I'm not the one. You can't even pay me. You can't pay me $10,000 because that's the claim that Dr. Umar put out there. He's like, you can't pay me $10,000 to do nothing. Steve Harvey basically flexed on him. But he cleared up the air and said he's not being paid to endorse her. He's endorsing her and inviting her on the show to talk about all of her policies and things like that because he truly believes that he wants her to be in the to win the presidency over Donald Trump. So just clearing the air. There is no money involved there. I don't like it. Dr. Umar sounds like he's for the other team anyway. So, you know, I got feelings about Dr. Umar. Anyway, I do want to go ahead and get started with the Rob Report. Andy, well, let's just jump into it.
Now it's time for a breakdown.
Okay, we are talking about black men crying. You guys, Tyrese, years ago, when was that, Andy, when Tyrese had his mental breakdown? That was 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. He became literally a global meme for crying because he had...
What more do you want from me?
That was the meme. That was part of it. Yeah, it was sad. It was sad. He had a mental breakdown. Nobody realized at the time that he was having a mental breakdown, but he spoke about it later. And he became a poster child for black men crying and people making fun of it. Well, he's done it again. He has done it again. He opened up on a recent interview with the Breakfast Club about grief, and real grief, by the way, things that he really is going through. And he cried and people went in. Of course, people like myself, we do agree that black men can cry and should cry, and it's okay, and we encourage that. But he had some backlash too, and I want to talk about this stigma about black men and why we think it's weak. Well, all the bad negative stigmas against black men and them crying and showing any sort of emotion. And he makes his own claims. I want to break that down. I want to talk about it. We also might get to a point where we talk about August Alsina. Speaking of men and being vulnerable, August Alsina finally opens up about the fact that he loves a man. Now, here's the thing. You may or may not remember the whole Jada Pinkett, August Alsina, and who else? Oh, Will Smith. Will Smith, the entanglement, the very famous or infamous entanglement. Well, August Alsina was a part of that young man, and now he has openly admitted to loving a man. He's in a relationship, and he's opening up about it. He's getting backlash, but he's also getting encouragement and support. We got to talk about it. Black men today. We're talking about that on the Rob Report. We'll get to it all on the other side. You are listening to us here on the Rob Report on KBLA Talk 1580. Stay there.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Eric Bellinger hanging out right here with my family at the Rob Report. Keep it locked.
You're inside the Rob Report with Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580. Tavis is like George and Wheezy. He's moving on up. Last year, Tavis was number 45 on the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. Wait for it. Wait for it. The 2024 list was recently released, and Tavis has jumped to number 33 on the list of the nation's most important talkers, making him the highest-ranked African-American on the coveted roster. Congratulations to Tavis Smiley from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580. We've got you black. This is KBLA Talk 1580, home of the 2024 Climate Justice Campaign.
Are you wet shaving? You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops, I'm good with Gillette Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard Mama hates anyway?
Since 77. I shaved and got ingrown so bad.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturizer. So I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
The best a man can get keeps getting better with Gillette Skin Guard. Buy now at a retailer near you.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Giving you your daily dose of entertainment and celebrity news.
You're inside the Rob
Report. With Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, I'm asking a question over here in our YouTube chat. It's okay. I know the answer to this, so it's a little rhetorical. However, I'm going to ask it anyway. This comes because some reality TV entrepreneur people, Kirk Frost, he showed video of his mother-in-law trying to sit on his lap. Like, he didn't know what was up with that, but she was like trying to sit on his lap. It seemed really awkward to me, and maybe I think a lot of other people who watched it. So I'm asking you guys, is it just fun? Like, she was laughing, other people were laughing in the room when this was happening, or is that completely inappropriate? Period. You know, do you sit on as a mother-in-law, do you sit on your son-in-law's lap at all? Again, I probably know the answer to this, but I'm just going to put it over there for fun. But let's go ahead and get started with this conversation. We are talking to Whitley Yates, who is on the line with us today. Hey to you, Whitley.
Hello, I'm so excited to be back on the Raw Report today.
Well, I'm always excited to have you on, so thank you for joining us today. I have to ask you, I don't know if you saw the video or not, but is it inappropriate for a mother-in-law to sit on her son-in-law's lap, just even if it's fun, people are laughing? Is that inappropriate, or is it just fun?
Absolutely, it's inappropriate for a mother-in-law to sit on her son-in-law's lap, especially if this is the same mother-in-law that ran over his motorcycle after he cheated on her daughter. Absolutely, it's inappropriate.
Okay.
I think it's disgusting.
You know what?
And I think that there should be boundaries set.
You're right. I forgot about that. I forgot that it happened. I stopped watching that show, that particular reality show, a while ago, but I remember that. So wow, yeah, you brought back a memory. So you agree it is completely inappropriate for a mother-in-law to sit on her son-in-law's lap. I agree right now, 100% of you agree, but you know, I'm going to keep it over there for just a little bit. Whitley, let's jump into this conversation. We have this clip that I'm going to play for everybody so that you all get context. Tyrese was on The Breakfast Club, and Tyrese now at this point has gone viral several times for just the things that he does or says inside of his interviews. And this particular time is no different. The topic of grief came up. And Charlamagne the God on The Breakfast Club asked Tyrese how he's dealing with the grief. So that's how this all starts. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this clip and talk about it afterwards.
Because you deal with a lot of grief. Like, I think about, Brother Paul Walker, and I think about John Singleton, your mother.
Divorce. Both of my sisters
died. Your sisters. People don't look at divorce as grief, but you did. You lose things, You probably lost a lot of friends when you went through your mental health breakdown. Are you really, have you really taken the time to deal with all of that grief? Or do you just try to stay busy to avoid it?
I'm doing the best I can with every 24 hours I get. That's it.
Get some tissue for it, brother.
No, I don't need no tissue. Black men cry.
That's right.
You know, your tissue. Every 24 hours I get, I'm doing the best I can. Beautiful Pain, 1992. There is no square footage I could ever live in. There is no rims, no jewelry, and no car. There is no net worth. There is no press release. There is no co-star. There is no collaboration in the world that could ever replace my mama. That could ever fill the void of what it's like to wake up and get married and want to be in something for the rest of your life. And it goes away.
You're making me cry.
Get Tyrese some tissue.
I don't need no tissue.
Man, you're U.S., man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I love you.
You've been
too,
holding
brother.
this
Do you
in the whole
understand
interview,
how
though.
much power it is in letting it go?
Yeah, because you've been holding it the whole interview. I've been watching you.
You asked me the question.
I did, but I mean, I'm getting you some
You should have
tissue.
never asked the question
I love you,
if you
brother.
didn't want to see
I love you, brother. I love you. I love you.
how hard it's been to get through.
I love you. I love you, black man.
Okay, do you not cry?
Absolutely.
You might not bring it to the radio,
Absolutely.
but this is what being grown
Thank
is.
you, brother.
I'm not doing this.
I need one. My makeup going to mess up. I didn't
Hear me.
My concealer
Hear
is sitting
me.
today.
Hear me. Black men cry. When divorces happen, women aren't the only one that are devastated. When a miscarriage happens, women are not the only one that you should be checking on. When you can't put food on the table because your career goes up and then it goes down, stop calling, skipping over the man, and just checking on the woman.
I felt every single word of that. He brought up a lot. I mean, that was a lot. You know, and inside the comments, it's always very telling for me, you know, where we are just as people, you know, when you go to the comment section, because people feel like they can just be honest. People are, you know, they got the Twitter fingers. They're trolls in the comments. So I tend to believe, you know, people, because even when people write from a dummy account, or you know, they're like, they got the bots or whatever, or just fake Instagram accounts, people are giving, you know, in my opinion, sometimes a heartfelt, honest answer. And all of it was in there. People are still laughing at him. People bring up the memes of when he went viral the first time for crying several years ago. I've seen people apologize to him for laughing at him before, but understanding now that he really did go through a lot of grief. Whitley, you know, you heard the comment. Give me your overall thoughts on just why there is, where that stigma comes from, and why there is such a heavy negative stigma attached to black men who open up the way that Tyrese just did.
You know, I think in black culture, when it comes specifically to black men, that masculinity is what is always purported to be right. And that when men are expressing their emotions and their feelings, or they're crying, when they are emoting, it's seen as a feminine trait. And so I think within our culture, that has been the stigma consistently. And I know specifically for Tyrese, the grief that he's gone through, this isn't the first time that we've seen Tyrese cry. This isn't the first time that he's spoken about some of the things that he's going through and really just expressed himself in this type of way. And for me, just listening to it and really understanding, I've had recent conversations with other black men that have been divorced, and I think I've been a little bit insensitive to the fact that they are really healing and attempting to feel through this situation. We're always worried about the women. We're always worried about the daughters. But a lot of times what we don't do is ask black men how they feel, or what they're going through, or what the loss of the expectation of that marriage, that relationship, that job, how it really impacts them. I think that they're always expected to be strong through circumstances, and we never really give them a soft place to land. And I think we as black women have to do a better job of allowing them the opportunities to be soft and sensual without calling them sassy.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. You know, immediately, as you're talking, I'm having to recall times where I've seen white men opening up. Like, white men feel, or anybody else, if they're not black, by the way, feel so much more comfortable being sensitive, being vulnerable, and just letting go in a safe space, in a public way, by the way. If it's in public, whether it's a podcast or on a TV show where they're all talking, you have seen many times where white men are accepted. Nobody's clowning them. And even us as black people, we look at white men who cry and don't clown them, by the way. You don't ever really see that happen. But as soon as it's us, I don't know what that thing is. I mean, it is a deep-rooted trauma, obviously. My question is, do you feel like it'll ever, I know it's becoming more widely accepted because we are, as you mentioned, black women are now supporting that, and we are telling black men you can let go. But do you think that as a whole, it'll ever really be accepted just completely without the negative connotations attached to it, calling them out their name, calling them soft, calling them sassy, calling them anything like that? Do you think it'll ever be widely accepted completely?
I don't think that it will ever be fully accepted. Wow. I think the problem is that our culture has really changed and shifted. And I think that men in 2024, the level of expectation that women have for them and where they're coming in is beneath that level of expectation. And so that then coupled with sometimes the emotions or the feelings, I think is a bit much. But what I will say is the idea that men getting therapy, men talking about their feelings, men expressing who they are, even when they're in grief, even when they're in a dark place, is the beginning of having conversations that will shift that culture. Mm-hmm. But I will say, that a lot of times black women, we feel as though we've always been that foundation for black men. And we've always been that shoulder to cry on, even when they weren't in a place to express themselves in a manner that was productive. Because before this type of generational trauma, a lot of times came out as physical abuse, if we're going to be honest.
Ooh, okay, hold on. Wait, let's put a pin in that, because you you touching on something. You went to a different place, but it is that's definitely where I want to go. Put a pin in that. Please remember that. We will talk more about it on the other side. We're also going to get to this August Alsina conversation because I think it matters. I think this is a part of that conversation. We'll get to it all. But right now, we've got news, traffic, and sports. You're listening to The Rob Report on KBLA Talk 1580. Stay right there.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Denzel Whitaker, and I'm on The Rob Report.
More of The Rob Report with Robin Ayers when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. There may be some drama tonight during the ceremonial roll call vote at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Vice President Kamala Harris became the nominee during an earlier online vote, but 30 delegates are part of the pro-Palestinian uncommitted movement and are upset with the White House's support of Israel. After the vote, former President Barack Obama, along with his wife Michelle and Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, will be the night's featured speakers. New York City Mayor Eric Adams will head to the Democratic National Convention in Chicago on Wednesday. The mayor says his mission is to help elect Vice President Harris. He added he is not on an ego trip when asked if he feels slighted that he doesn't have a prominent speaking role. Adams, who is black, says he has a packed schedule of meetings with other Democratic leaders. He adds he'll be talking with them about immigration and the impact of the migrant crisis. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Back in Culver City, a stall continues with a 35-40-minute backup running stopped from Santa Monica Boulevard on the 405 South before Highway 90, and it is still blocking the center lane. Making our way through Roland Heights, an overturned crash is in the carpool in 2 left lanes of the 60 West of Nogales Street, and watch for traffic getting heavy from Fairway Drive. Right lane is still blocked with an accident back in South LA's 110 South after Florence Avenue, with a 20-minute backup from the 10 Washington Boulevard split. If you're driving through Crypto.com Arena, be advised that the Kid Cudi Insano concert is going down now until about 10 tonight.
9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals utilize their award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The sports world had a significant presence during the first night of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Golden State Warriors coach Steve Kerr was among the speakers. Kerr expressed his support for Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Kerr said leaders must display dignity and tell the truth, a subtle reference to Donald Trump. Kerr and Trump have had an online feud since Trump was president. Trump rescinded an invitation to the Warriors to visit the White House after they won the NBA championship in 2017. Trump was upset with Warriors guard Steph Curry after Curry criticized Trump for attacking black athletes who were protesting the national anthem. Instead of going to the White House to celebrate their championship, the Warriors visited the National Museum of African American History and Culture in D.C. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Come to Trump.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Hey LA, today I'm here to talk to you about Grid Alternatives, which is a nonprofit in LA that focuses on renewable energy. We serve communities who have been left out of the renewable energy sector. We offer paid job training, and in 13 weeks, you can become a solar installer. 80% of our graduates get hired into the industry, and once you're hired in the industry, you stop at a high, medium income. That could be $20 an hour or more. 80% of our graduates get hired into the industry. Call today so you don't be left out at 323-861-0105 or gridalternatives.org, gridalternatives.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed about what's really going on. Who's got next? And what not to miss in entertainment. You're listening to The Rob Report on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are inside the Raw Report on KBLA Talk 1580. If you are just joining us, we welcome you into this conversation that we're having about black men who cry and the stigma that is against black men who cry. Tyrese, who was recently on an interview, started crying. He was showing his real, he was expressing himself and showing his grief. You know, the way that I think a lot of people haven't given him a break. I mean, they talked about the fact that he had a divorce. His mother passed away. His two sisters passed away. His good friend, like a brother, Paul Walker, passed away. John Singleton, he passed away. All these different things that happened in his life. It's sad. It's sad. My heart goes out to men, especially black men. And the reason I say black men is number one, you know, I have a love for black men, but I know that they also don't have a safe place to land, a soft place to land when it comes to the community. They are not accepted. They are not, people do not have their arms open to receive these black men who show emotion and who become vulnerable. I mean, we have different sides of the fence. Some women are telling these men, listen, we want you to be more vulnerable, and we encourage them to open up, and we encourage them to go to therapy and things like that. But then there's this toxic side, this toxic thing that another side of our people, they're telling them you're soft. They're telling them, I don't want a man who cries like that. Andy brought up such a great point. K. Michelle, we recently spoke about her, the singer-songwriter, who said that she doesn't feel safe if her black man cries in front of her. She doesn't feel safe, and she feels like she becomes the man. She is more masculine. We talked about Ebony K. Williams, who talks about the fact that she has to walk around in her masculinity. And I know that all comes from a place. I understand it. We talk about oftentimes in slavery days where you couldn't show any weakness. So it was more of that, get yourself together. Don't show them your weakness. Don't cry in front of anybody. So they taught their sons that. Their black sons, they would teach them to be strong and get up and don't let anybody make you feel weaker than. It went from that to these days, black men not even being around and not being in the home and not raising their children, raising their families. And so women feeling like they need to step up. They need to be the ones who wear the pants. They're the strong ones. And it's we have this balance that is, it's off balance. Really, it's no longer in existence. And there's the conversation that, how do we regulate this? How do we find any balance? Of course, therapy is one of the answers that I strongly am a proponent for. But what else? What else? I do believe conversations like this are important, that we continue to talk about it and continue to let people in the community, our people, our family, our friends, continue to let them know that this is important to us, and that we encourage it. We encourage that all the men, all the black men specifically, that they can open up and be vulnerable with us, because I believe them more than anybody else, black men specifically, go through more. I believe they're holding on to more. I believe I opened up about this on social media. I had a whole thing about how black men stopped talking to black women. They stopped opening up to black women, because sometimes us women too also need therapy. We also need to understand how to deal with men, our men who are in our lives, how to deal with that, how to deal with the communication. And, you know, there's so much conversation that still needs to happen surrounding this topic. But we're on the line with Whitley Yates, and she was going in. On the other side, she was breaking it down. I had to put a pin in it. Whitley Yates, if you remember where you were dropping bars about where we are in society when it comes to black men crying.
Absolutely. And I think we need to make a distinction between showing and expressing emotions and being emotional. And I think being emotional is being led by those emotions. You're reacting to those emotions, and they are driving you, and it is sometimes void of logic. So we're not talking about being overly emotional. Logic is out the window. We're talking about black men being comfortable enough to be vulnerable, to tell us when they don't feel their best, to tell us when they're insecure, to tell us when they're grieving or going through loss, and to be able to express and to cry in front of us in that show of vulnerability not be used as ammunition in the future against them. And we are getting to a place where Black men are able to show emotion that's not rooted in anger or physicality and violence against Black women. And for a long time, when men attempted to express or didn't know how to process those feelings, Black women became the victims of the emotional, angry response, which created a lot of trauma for Black women in engaging and some not feeling safe around Black men. Now we are in an era where we are talking about our feelings, and we want to make sure that as Black women, we're cultivating a space where people feel safe with us, where Black men feel safe when they walk out into the world and feel unsafe solely for existing. We need to create spaces where they feel safe to be able to confide in us in those ways. And so now that we're heading into that era and seeing Tyrese release on air, as he called it, a release, they asked a question, and he's like, do you know how good it feels to let it go? Because sometimes they carry so much. And then add a smile on top of that.
Yeah, that's
and
exactly
so
it.
We only see them for the strong men that we expect them to be, and maybe not for the man that is carrying the weight of the traumas and the grief and all of these other things. And so I think that there needs to be some healing. I think there needs to be a lot of grace and empathy with both parties. And I think we have to get to a place where we are valuing a man that's able to comfortably express himself to us and looking at that as a sign of dignity and pride that we were able to cultivate a culture that made somebody feel safe being that way around us.
You know what? I'm watching the comments over here in YouTube, and I see Colston Chinese. Hello, Colston. Says, I'm not attracted to a man who is overly sensitive, and I think that goes to your comment about not being emotional, but showing emotion and knowing the difference and making a clear distinction to that. But that leads me to this next question. Before we move on quickly to the August Alsina conversation, and that I'm sure we won't go too far into that, but your thoughts, give me your thoughts on, because I think so much of this, Whitley, can be resolved or at least helped with certain things being included in education or in the system of education, right? So when we talk about therapy, I think that's something that needs to be, I think every student should have therapy before graduating. Excuse me. I think that every student should have that. I also think that, I know emotional intelligence is more so innate, but I think that it can be enhanced. And I think that needs to be more of a conversation in school. Before I get to you, Whitley, Andy, let's hear from you real quick.
I agree with you 100%. It needs to be instituted somehow in education because you got to grab the minds of the youngsters.
Yeah.
Homeroom would probably be the best period, right, to have this type of stuff. And on top of that, you have financial literacy, all the other stuff that you're expected to learn when you graduate from high school.
Yeah.
You discuss that within homeroom.
Yeah.
Hell, even vote. If you're 18 years old, you're going to vote here in class.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Here's the thing. Homeroom, as you mentioned, Andy, I think it's a great place for that because they don't do much in homework. In homeroom, they say you can do your extra work here, but oftentimes you see people just, the students are just talking, they're catching up, they're sleeping, all those things. What are your thoughts on that, Whitley?
I would agree, and I think it's something that could be beneficial not only for men, but for the young ladies as well. As someone who used to work in the inner city schools, mentoring and volunteering, I think it would be a really great idea and a really great opportunity if the school is able to cultivate a safe space.
Yes.
Because that sometimes is the issue. And with less educators that look like us, the expression specifically from Black men of their feelings and or emotions can sometimes feel like an attack towards people with non-melanated skin.
Yeah. This is interesting. The question is, will we ever accept black men crying? 82% say yes, so I'm down with the optimism, but 18% say no, and that's probably not necessarily something that you all feel personally, but you're just looking at things as a whole and in society, and you're probably like, it's not going to happen. That saddens me. That just saddens me to think about, just because, again, I have kids. I know someday, or hope at least someday, to have grandkids and so on and so forth, that grow up in a world where it becomes a bit more accepted, a lot more accepted, I'll say. But I do believe, I believe in what we're saying. I think somebody needs to implement that. I think we have enough power, but sadly, a lot of our people don't know the power that they have. They don't understand that they have a lot of power to implement some of these things and to use their voices and their votes. But anyway, it's sad, but it is what it is. Let's move on very, very quickly. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to get to this conversation about August Alsina. He does open up on Council Culture, which is Nick Cannon's show, and he talks about opening up about loving a man. Let's listen to it real quick.
And you talked about your love for another man. And I know that when we talk about this, we help others. What has opening your heart done for you?
To be honest with you, bro, it's not even me that's opening my heart. It's that power that's higher than myself. I always say that the greatest gift that God could have ever given me was exposure. To expose me to so many different kinds of people, places, things. So it's like when people want you to define yourself as whether you're gay, straight, bisexual, or whatever, as you were just talking about, love is like much more complex than that and has much more depth. So for me, I'm just the kind of person that's like, because love is a language, I'm fluent in love when it speaks to me.
Why do us as humans have to have such direct answers or
Narrow
definitions of like, are you straight? Are you like, why or do you love her? Why do you got so many baby mamas? Like, no, but I mean, like,
had to work that part.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, because everybody.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I want to answer that specifically. We're going to talk about it on the other side, Willie. If you could stay around just a little bit longer, we'll get to that. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. Stay there.
Hey, what's going on? It's your girl Takara Williams here with Robin Ayers on the Raw Report on KBLA Talk 1580. If you ain't here, baby, hurry up.
You're inside the Raw Report with Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580.
Getting connected has never been easier. Get free Wi-Fi at all LA County library locations, inside the library and outside in the parking lots. Visit your local library and get connected today.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses, like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
environmental justice is racial justice.
Environmental justice is social justice.
This is KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Giving you your daily dose of entertainment and celebrity news.
You're inside the Rob Report.
With Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580.
Wow. You know, we just played a clip by August Alsina, who opens up about being in a relationship with a man. And he says the best thing that's ever happened to him was God basically exposing him to love. He says love is love, basically, no matter who you are. And I don't know if he said a connoisseur of love. He's just, he understands love. Well, he's been receiving a lot of backlash, of course, because people aren't used to that. People are not used to it, and people will call you a sinner for that, all those types of things. It's not as accepted as we tend to think it is, right? I'm reading a comment, Whitley. We have Whitley Yates on the line with us. I'm reading a comment from a gay man, an openly gay man, who said about this clip that we listened to. He said, once again, talking in circles, deflecting by talking about a higher power and love is love, etc. The point is, this man is not ready to come out and be his true self. He says, I pray he finds the strength one day, because we all know that he's bi or gay, and that's okay. It's a point. Do you feel like he hasn't gone there? August Alsina hasn't quite labeled himself because he's afraid of the backlash. Maybe he's sticking his toe in the water as opposed to his entire foot, maybe?
He's sticking more than his toe in the water. Let's keep it honest. It's more than his toe.
Okay.
And I do think it was very interesting that the way in which he attempted to frame the fact that he is in a romantic relationship with another man after obviously having his cake and Jada too. Mm-hmm. So he's clearly someone that is very fluid with his identity, with his sexuality and all of these things, but he is trying to reframe it for himself. I don't necessarily want to hate on him for doing that, but it's almost as if he is shifting his proclivities and his preference to something beyond his control, and that can be problematic.
Okay, shifting. Okay, I hear that. It makes me think of Wayne Brady, who recently came out not long ago saying that he was he said he was pansexual. I believe he said he was pansexual, and people are having a hard time trying to figure this out. Do you think that we'd be more accepting if you called a thing rather than trying to reframe it like you just mentioned?
I think it's hard because in today's society, everyone wants to compartmentalize people into the boxes.
Yeah.
I don't know what pansexual means. I don't know if that has to do with cast iron or
no. People say, listen, I love people. It doesn't matter if you're a man, doesn't matter if you're a woman. I love.
That means he's down with the T's. Okay.
Yeah, I love.
He's down with the T's. That's what that means. Okay. All right.
You got it. Yeah, I got it.
He's down with the T's. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of knew Wayne Brady was a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think
I would agree.
I think we always kind of know that, he wasn't all pulling the loafers. And so, you know what I wish? I wish we lived in a society where people were comfortable enough to be who they are, free from judgment and criticism of others.
Yeah.
And then that way they wouldn't have to shy away from calling or expressing however they feel in public and private, etc., and not having to push it off on some higher power that has elevated his experience to being able to be open to love. Man, you like what you like. Like Young Miami said, I like what I like. And then the girl said, you like me? And then we all just waited for the answer. I think we need to be in a place of accepting that, even if it doesn't fit within our culture. Now, I mean, I'm someone that is very conservative, and I like my men to only like women. That is my preference. But I think people should love who they want to love. And if they don't want to fit into the titles, that's okay. But don't divert your preference of sexuality on, like, the heavens opened up and told you that you should be dipping your toe in the pond.
It's fair. Andy, go ahead and jump in.
We are not living in a black and white society anymore. Everything is gray, and we need to accept it because it's going to happen. Everything that we discussed, are we hoping for more acceptance? It's going to happen because a lot of stuff are being pushed. A lot of stuff are being challenged. A lot of what went down in the past are being challenged, and we are moving towards a more open society where gray area matters as well too. You know what I'm saying? So
gray areas matter, he says. Whitley, always a pleasure being in conversation with you. Thank you again for joining me. Where can everybody keep up with you online?
Keep up with me online at Whitley J. Yates on Twitter and Instagram.
All right. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We will definitely talk soon.
Thank you.
All right. Well, yeah, interesting conversation, man. This is interesting. It's always one of those things I feel like we could go on and on and on about, but it'll come up again. It'll come up in a different kind of, situation. Some other black man is going to cry, and we're going to talk about this again, probably. We need to talk about it again. Listen, tomorrow is the day we are playing Pastor Keon Henderson's full interview. It is such a good one. Remember, I called this my very favorite. It's at the top. It's at the top of one of my favorite interviews ever. We will definitely play that here on this show. But next up, you don't want to go anywhere because Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, is coming up on this show. So definitely don't change the channel. I appreciate you, Raw Squad, always for riding with me and engaging with me. Thank you to Whitley Yates for joining me today. I am your host, Robin Ayers. Remember, today and every single day forward, be a blessing.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Members of the so-called Tennessee Three will be speaking at the